times where there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of emotions.
You're not going to have control and just kind of let people help you.
It really tests you in ways that you never expect.
I just felt really alone.
It can cost between $7,000 to $10,000.
On this episode of The Pulse, we look at fertility and maternity together. We hear from doctors, a couple going through IVF, a maternity educator, and a new mom who speaks honestly about the mental and emotional challenges after birth. Because family building is not only medical, it's personal, it's emotional, and for a lot of people, it takes support at every stage.
Started with a dream, we whispered low. A little hope. We wanted to grow, counting days and chasing signs, holding love through waiting time.
To understand why more people are talking about fertility, we start with Dr. Bianca Rae.
I don't think the biology of the ovary changed. I think it's just more of the lifestyle that we're going through that's what changed. We used to hear about patients who were older before and they were able to get pregnant with no problems, and now we have younger people who are just struggling with fertility. And I think it's not the biology of the ovary as much as just the lifestyle, what we're exposed to. It's definitely a lot of stress, a lot of environmental factors. It's just our lifestyle is different than what we used to have several years ago. So that kind of people are focusing more on careers, education. They just want to postpone fertility for a long time until they are financially stable and they're able to afford having a family. And by that time, sometimes you get older. We get into the late 30s, early 40s, and we then now realize that we just want to start a family. So sometimes, that can be a little challenging because the ovary has a biological clock.
Biological clock. It's a phrase used often, but medically, it points to something very specific: egg quantity and egg quality changing with age.
So we're all born with a certain number of eggs, like a big number of eggs, and then we keep losing our eggs as we get older. So at the age of 35, we get a low number of those eggs start to decline, and then our fertility reserve reflected on the hormones will be different. So we can evaluate our hormones and see what our hormones look like. That can give us a good evaluation. And then with an ultrasound, we can look and see how many follicles we have on each ovary.
Fertility challenges can come from many different factors. That's why doctors usually start with a full evaluation before recommending the next step.
So you're gonna have to have a good evaluation if the tubes is working fine, the ovary is working fine, the sperms are able to reach the egg or not, and if there's any problems in the uterus that might prevent implantation. Those are all things that we have to evaluate. So the evaluation is very important because if there are fibroids inside the uterus, or if there is polyps, or there are some adenomyosis or something inside the uterus that might prevent implantation, that can be a reason for infertility. If the tubes are blocked or having adhesions or scar tissue from a previous infection, that can be a problem. If you're not ovulating, although you might have normal menstrual cycle every month, but you're not really ovulating, that is something that we can find out. And then definitely the sperm, we have to look at the sperm. I may have something here for the sperm. This is how the sperm look like. It has a head, middle, base, and a tail. And under the microscope, we look for three things. We look for the number of the sperm, we look for the motility of the sperm, how do they swim, and if they're moving in the right direction or not. And we look for the shape of the sperm. Is it normal shape or abnormal shape? Based on all those evaluations, we put things together and then decide what's the best way to achieve higher rate of pregnancy success rate.
For many people, IVF is the fertility treatment they hear about most often, but it's not always the first step. Depending on what that evaluation shows, there might be other options before IVF, from medication to IUI. Dr. Rae explains how doctors decide which treatment path makes the most sense for each patient.
Definitely not every single fertility problem will end up with IVF. We can try easy things, starting from medications to kind of even IUIs, which is called intrauterine inseminations. The last step would be IVF, unless there's a very, very strong indication that IUIs wouldn't work or medications itself wouldn't work. I would not rush for IVF as my first resort.
Can you give the most basic explanation possible for IVF. What exactly is the process of in vitro fertilization?
So IVF basically is like we're trying to have a baby outside of the woman's body, right? So we're just kind of trying to get the eggs stimulate the eggs. Usually every month we have one egg that just grows for the most part. With IVF, we try to stimulate as many eggs as possible because we don't want to do this several times. We just want to have as many eggs as we can, get those eggs out of the patient at a certain time when they're mature and they're ready to come out of her ovary. We put her to sleep, we get the eggs out through a very easy transvaginal procedure that takes about like half an hour. We get those eggs out, we look under the microscope, make sure that the eggs are mature, and then we fertilize those eggs with the partner sperm. That gives us advantage to select the sperm under the microscope. So if we have like millions of sperms, not all the sperms are looking great. So the embryologist will just select the best sperms and inject the sperm inside the egg. That's what we call ICSI, or they can just leave the sperm with the egg, and that's what we do conventional IVF. And then once they get fertilized, we keep watching them for 5 days. During those 5 days, usually will change from 1 cell to 2 cell to morula to blastocyst. The blastocyst is the stage when we usually freeze the embryos for future use, or we can biopsy some of those cells of the embryos to make sure that they are normal chromosomes. So we can have the option to biopsy at that time. Once we get the results, then we can definitely transfer the normal embryos to the patient in a month or two after.
There's, of course, a medical side of fertility, and then there's the human side. Behind every appointment is a person waiting for answers, just trying to stay hopeful, and making decisions that can affect their body, their relationship, and their future.
It's a roller coaster for them. You just have to be more of a person that can listen to them, understand where they're coming from, not deal with a disease. It's just more dealing with a person. Unfortunately, it's not something that you say, oh, you have diabetes or high blood pressure or something GI problem and you're gonna fix it. It's just you're dealing with a whole person, physically, emotionally. I think what makes the difference is just like you have to individualize patient care. You have to listen to them. You have to know what exactly going on with them. I think that makes you feel like you're doing something good for them, and patients feel like the difference.
That's why the way fertility care is delivered matters. Patients need clear information, realistic guidance, and a care team that understands what the process can feel like. Meet Francini and Sean. They came to this journey the way many couples do, with love, a life they'd built together, and the hope of becoming parents when the timing felt right.
We always knew we wanted a family. We did get married a little bit later in life. I was 34 and Sean was 32. But when we got married, we were just kind of in this phase of our lives with our jobs. We were super busy, but we really started seriously talking about a family when we bought the home.
You know, when we started the process, we thought it was going to be easy, like our fifth grade teacher told us.
It took us about maybe a year and nothing was happening. So I'm like, okay, like why, what's happening?
They had hoped pregnancy would happen naturally, especially because they were doing everything they thought they were supposed to do.
And we did it all those things that they, put out there, and tracking your cycle and doing the little sticks, right? And doing
not wearing tight underwear.
Oh gosh, we researched everything and anything. We're like, the supplements, this and that, and it's overwhelming. And it takes, let's be honest, it takes the romantic piece out of it. It almost turns into an assignment and homework, and you start getting really into your head.
When Francini and Sean learned more about their options, IVF became the clear path forward. They knew it would be expensive, and they knew it could take more than one round. And they knew that they needed a doctor who could guide them through the process with empathy.
Money was a factor in terms of how much it cost to go through a round of IVF. Once we met with that doctor, it really, a lot of couples, you have to do several rounds of IVF to really be successful to have a child. So we knew that we wanted a doctor that we would be really comfortable with, that was empathetic. This is not a journey for the weak or the faint of heart. It really pushes you in ways that you're not expected to be pushed. Your body, your emotions, mentally, physically, all of it. It is such a journey. And so to have a doctor that really will walk you through the process, that's empathetic, that understands how difficult this is incredibly important. And so when we went to Dr. Rae, she as well recommended that we go through IVF. And so it really started with, here's your medication, here's when you're going to take it and what time you're going to take it, how you're going to take it, all the instructions. It's a lot. Sean became my personal nurse.
There's nothing else I can do besides just give my sperm, and that's it. Everything else is all her. And so what else can I do as a husband, as a partner, to help alleviate any stress or any pain that she has as she's going through this transfer? And even though it's 2 weeks, it's timed. You know, from the morning you have a time shot to the evening you have a time shot, and you're not supposed to be within 30 minutes from that, because everything leading up to the retrieval is all timed, and when they go in and grab those mature eggs at that point. But then even researching different ways of how not to hurt her, how to make sure that she doesn't bruise, what kind of heating pad should I grab to put over her belly to help so kind of soften up the skin, because at one point it does get a little hard and she starts bruising. So I learned a lot through that process, but I also learned a lot about my wife and about how, you know, resilient she is. And there was times where there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of emotions, because being stuck 5 to 7 times a day is not okay. And it really just puts a toll on her body and a toll on just relationships in general.
By him really administering the medicine and just really focusing on that piece allowed me to just focus on kind of like what my body was going through, taking the medication. It took off a huge burden off of me to have to be, right, like the milligrams and this and that when you're preparing all the medication. So him just really taking that on really took that burden off of me, and I could just focus on really the rest of it and kind of figuring out, okay, what am I feeling? What's my body going through? I initially could feel like the follicles like growing, and so I'm like, oh, okay, I feel bloated and some discomfort. They told me that would be part of the process, so that means that the follicles are growing. So yeah, and then kind of feeling, right, the effects of just the medication and the hormones that your body is like processing as well. I think that first round we ended up they retrieved 8 eggs. Out of those 8, I believe we ended up with 5 embryos. From the 5 embryos, I think we ended up with 3 that survived to the 5-day blastocyst. We took a month off to just let my body kind of recover from all the medications and just kind of get back into a natural cycle. Once we did that, then we called our doctor and said, okay, we're ready, let's do the transfer. So we just started preparing with the progesterone, the estrogen, the progesterone, all those medications, and then they ended up doing the transfer, and we were so blessed that we ended up pregnant. So it was actually on Christmas Eve that we found out that we were pregnant. So obviously it was the first try, so of course we were over the moon. We ended up sharing with our family that night that we were pregnant.
So you had the excitement, you had the families, you know, celebration, all the things, and to the extent you're comfortable, can you share with us what happened?
So unfortunately it didn't work out, which is not uncommon, right? We ended up getting to 18 weeks, I believe, and the baby didn't survive, and so not only did we go through all the emotions and the roller coaster of the medicines, right, and then doing the egg retrieval. The numbers weren't where we necessarily wanted them to be, but we were just excited that we had 3. Then there's like the 2-week waiting period, right? That's another roller coaster of just emotions, right? Waiting, like, is it actually gonna stick? And then of course, then we found out we were, and then ending up losing the baby.
IVF brought them moments of hope, but also loss. They experienced the joy of a pregnancy and then the heartbreak of losing it. They went through another retrieval only to face a result that they weren't expecting.
I just think that when it doesn't work out, you're trying to find a rhyme or a reason as to why. Yeah, like why did it not work out? And even the first time around when we lost the baby, same. I did kind of spiral a little bit where I was just deep researching and going through books, and like maybe I didn't take the right supplements, maybe I didn't take enough, maybe, right? And
Drink too much coffee.
Maybe it was the caffeine, and you start just questioning everything, and then it just gets to a point where it's like, I can't live this way. I can't, right? It just the more you try to control everything, it felt like the less control we had over it. And it's really, you have no control over any of it. And so that's what's really hard. I think going through this process is that there's really no control over it. It really just depends on your body. It just depends on where you're at in life and all the things that you're experiencing that contribute to just how successful you are. Like Sean mentioned, we've been part of these forums, just kind of reading, and everybody has such a different experience, and they also share that there's really no rhyme or reason as to why they're successful or why it failed for them. So we ended up going through obviously the second retrieval, then the third retrieval. So that was in September. I think we did it in November. And we were successful with, we ended up having 10 follicles. From the 10, we ended up with...
From the 10, we ended up with 8. From the 8, we ended up with 5. And then we ended up with a full 4. So 4 actually made it to the 5-day stage.
Yeah.
And just to fully explain for people, you take out eggs, then they have to survive. I'm dumbing it down just in layman's terms. Yeah. You take out the eggs, they need to survive after a few days, and then you put them with your partner's sperm, then you lose some, then you want to genetically test them, then you lose some. So it just goes boom, 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 boom. You get so excited, you got this big number, and all of a sudden you got 2 embryos, and that is so daunting. But I understand now, you have your embryos, we'll leave it at that number, your private number, and you have a transfer coming up. And how are you feeling moving forward, knowing that you've had so much experience under your belt and this time?
Definitely, we're positive. I think having the experience and the knowledge is a little bit of a double-edged sword, right? And so, but we're just happy with where we're at right now. We have our embryos. We're going to go through a transfer in the next month, and we're just trying to stay positive. I think that with the experience comes, wisdom, and going back to there's just really no controlling it and just kind of letting it be, and hoping for the best. And if it doesn't, then we've had conversations that when we need to cross that bridge, we will. But in the meantime, we just focus on one thing at a time, one day at a time, and do everything that we can to give ourselves the best chance possible, and then go from there.
This journey we just talked about, how do you think it changed you as a couple?
Wow. When you go through something so challenging like IVF, you end up creating a deeper bond. I have so much more of an understanding of Francini and what she goes through as a woman, and as how she can only hold the baby, and I'm just again in awe. And so when I look back at our relationship before IVF and to now, it's okay. I think we're so much stronger. I want to do things more for her. She makes me a better person, and so I feel like through this IVF process, we're a lot stronger because of it.
It's definitely made us a lot stronger. I don't think that I would have been able to go through this process without, I'm so incredibly blessed and lucky to have Sean in my life. I married him, so. But yeah, there are a lot of couples that go through this process, and we've heard that they haven't made it because it really tests you in ways that you never expect. And so I was either it will break you or make you stronger, and in our case it has made us incredibly stronger, and I'm so just incredibly grateful to be going through this with Sean. And to be honest, even though we haven't been successful up to this point, I wouldn't change any of it. It's been a journey for sure. Never expected that was something that we were gonna go through, but here we are.
Francini and Sean's story is still unfolding, and we wish them strength and hope as they continue this journey to start their family. Their experience also brings us to a very important question a lot of women are asking earlier in life. What can I do now if I might want kids later? That's where egg freezing comes into the conversation.
I would say egg freezing is a great option. I think I would advise every woman like who thinks that she's gonna have a little bit more time kind of getting into education and careers and may postpone her fertility to a little bit later in her life to freeze her eggs sooner than later. I think definitely freezing eggs at like late 20s, early 30s will give us better success rate compared than freezing eggs late 30s. Like if you're at 39, 40, trying to freeze eggs, it will be way harder. The quality will not be as good compared to if you're doing it when you're late 20 or early 30s. Definitely doing it earlier gonna give us better quality of eggs and better outcomes. Think about it as like you're having some money and you're just putting some money in the bank, right? And then if you need it, you need it. If you don't need it, then it's just there in the bank. It's not gonna, go away. It's just gonna be there for you in case you need it. So I would just say freeze your eggs. If you're finding the right person at the right time and you never used, go back to use your own eggs, that's okay. I mean, if you get pregnant on your own and life is great, you don't have to worry about those eggs anymore. But if you need them, then you have them. And that can definitely give you way more options for fertility if, things get harder on your own.
I do know a reality is it is very expensive though, right? Can you talk a little bit about the price of freezing eggs, but then if insurance is an option for some people?
The egg freezing process can be, depending on the medication that we're going to be using, it can cost between $7,000 to $10,000, depending on definitely the location where you're doing it and the medication that you're going to be using. So that can be a variable, but depending on also the monitoring, like how many times you go for monitoring, how much blood work you're doing to kind of like get through the monitoring, it can be different from one practice to another, but like the average would be between $7,000 to $10,000.
Whether the path includes medication, IUI, IVF, or pregnancy that happens naturally, the next chapter brings a lot of the same questions for every mom. What should I expect during pregnancy? How do I prepare for birth? What do I need at home? And how do I take care of myself while learning to take care of a new little human? That's where education becomes important.
Yeah, and education's key. The more you know, the better handle you have when you're going into it, because it is a big unknown. For most pregnant people, being in the hospital for labor and delivery is the first time they've ever been a patient in a hospital. And that by itself is really scary. And so the more you know, the better you can handle, the better able you are to make decisions that might need to be made in the course of labor and delivery. So that education is really key.
Sandy Artinian, a maternal health educator with Desert Oasis Healthcare, helps families prepare for what comes before, during, and after a baby arrives.
You want to make sure that you have your kitchen stocked before you go into labor. Get some things in the freezer, get some quick snacks, things like that. Make sure your baby's sleeping area is ready. So, safe sleep. We talk a lot about safe sleep, having a separate sleep area, whether it's a bassinet or a crib with a firm surface. The bassinet next to the bed is ideal if that works for your space. And then having little areas around the house where you're going to sit and feed the baby. Those are some of the things you can do. Have your bag ready for the hospital. Make sure you've picked your pediatrician ahead of time, because you don't want to be doing that when you get home.
What are some of the biggest tips you can give in those first few days and weeks at home?
Try to roll with what's happening. You're not going to have control, and just kind of let people help you. Your partner, your family, if you have friends that you trust and want to have around. They say, try to rest when the baby rests, and for some people that works, some people that doesn't work. Lower your expectations with housework and cooking and things like that. Just really focus yourself on taking care of your baby and yourself.
What's the best thing you can offer a newborn mom?
I think of two things. First of all, meals. Bring meals over, because trying to even think about what to eat for yourself or your spouse is hard. So offer to bring over meals. Offer to go grocery shopping. Offer to come over and clean, do dishes, do laundry. Those are really concrete things that help the new mommy who just isn't up to doing that right away.
And I understand a majority of the people who reach out to you do so after baby, right? In this time, what are some of the biggest things they're asking or inquiring about then?
Generally, the number one is feeding, anything to do with feeding with the baby, because, as a mom, that's your whole focus. That's your whole thing. So there's a lot of stress and uncertainty around feeding. We work with the lactation consultants at Desert Regional, and they're great. And so we refer our patients there, and they get great help there.
But even with preparation, the first weeks after birth can be harder than most people expect. New parents are recovering, learning, feeding, sleeping-ish, right? And adjusting to a completely different rhythm of life. For a lot of moms, the physical recovery is only a part of it. The emotional shift can be just as challenging. Ruba's path to motherhood was different. She became pregnant naturally, but even when pregnancy happens without fertility treatment, the transition into motherhood can still bring unexpected challenges. After her baby arrived, Ruba found herself facing exhaustion, isolation, and the pressure to keep going even when she needed help.
I tried leaning on family, but my family wasn't around me. My mom was only with me for a few days after I had the baby. And when she was there, it was a huge relief, actually. She would take her for a few hours just so I can get some naps in, and those naps felt like I had been in deep sleep for like 10 hours. It was great to catch up on sleep, with her around. But when she left, it hit me really hard. I was actually very emotional when my mom left because it was reality kicking in that I'm on my own, because my husband also didn't take leave. He wasn't able to take leave from work. He was only off for a week. So my mom and my husband both left essentially at the same time, and it was just me and her. So I kind of had to lean on myself. And I could call my family for emotional support, but at the same time in my head, it felt like I was kind of burdening them. I just felt really alone. I tried not to, because I'm usually a person who tends not to have a mentality and a mindset like that. I try to be more positive and have a good outlook on things. But don't forget too, your hormones are all over the place. I just literally birthed a human, and it was a lot. I wouldn't say I was in a bad place mentally. I didn't have postpartum depression, but also I wouldn't say I was fully healthy mentally and really emotionally stable at the time. I was very emotional. Certain things would put me off edge. I would cry to my husband all the time, I just need help, I need a break. When he would come home, I would look for him to really just kind of take over and give me a little bit of a break, but we still had our own responsibilities and our own things, and he would be preparing for work and getting stuff ready for work, and meanwhile, I'm like, just please give me a break. That's what it feels like. You just want a break, but you really can't. So it was a lot.
Fertility and maternity are deeply personal, but they're also conversations that affect families everywhere. New California laws now require many large group insurance plans to cover certain fertility services, including IVF. Coverage can vary, so patients should contact their medical insurance provider directly to confirm their benefits. The stories in this episode remind us that family building is not one experience. It can be joyful, difficult, clinical, emotional, private, and life-changing all at once. What people need most is information, compassion, and support at every stage. I'm Bianca Rae. Thank you for watching The Pulse.